Hi, everyone. Morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you're logging in from. Today is a really special day because I have the humble privilege of hosting two power women. One who is a close friend and somebody I've known for a few years, but amazes me in terms of every year how she reinvents herself and leads forward. And the other one, a very well known leader. I won't even say a woman leader, a leader for many, who's broken many glass ceilings. So please join me in welcoming two leaders. I'm going to start or probably make a humble attempt of introducing them. I'm going to invite first on stage Miss Suneeta Mukherjee. Shiv, if you can get her on stage. And Sunita is a former IAS services officer and United Nations Population Fund representative. She's had a very productive life and a career in IAS as well as international civil services. She's worked on multiple projects relating to women welfare or youth. She recently developed the SARC Youth Charter in consultation with member nations and drafted the plan of action. Dr. Mukherjee has also worked with Ministry of Health and public sector undertaking for a global conference on social marketing and social franchising. She's also worked part-time with KPMG on skill development of youth, specifically NSQF, keeping gender aspects at the forefront with Amaltas in an evaluation of WHO's contribution to maternal health in Sri Lanka. Most importantly, Sunita has been a friend, a mentor in many ways, and is an exemplary, I would say, a role model in how she has reinvented at every stage of her life. So, welcome on board, Sunita, and thank you for joining us today. We're truly privileged to be part of your journey and more as we talk along.
Thank you, Anuranjita. That was a very detailed introduction. I don't know where you got all your details from, but thank you.
We have our spies, Sunita. Next on stage with me, Shiv, if you can get Dr. Kiran Bedi, somebody who needs no introduction in my view, but I'm going to make an humble attempt again. Dr. Kiran Bedi has been India's first and highest women ranking officer, having joined IPS in 1972. Dr. Bedi, I was born in 1971, which is why I feel very humbled currently. Her expertise includes more than 4 decades of public administration, creative and reformative policing, and prison management. She was the former Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry, a union territory of India. Amongst multiple things she's done, and I have a long list of it here. She's worked with the United Nations in New York as the police advisor to Secretary General in the Department of Peacekeeping Operation. She has also represented India in international forums on crime prevention, drug, police, prison reform, and women. She has addressed audiences at the American, British, European, and Indian university, corporate and civil society and groups. So the list carries on. She's also an author of several books, which we shall talk about today. But welcome, Kiran, on the forum as well. And we're joined by almost over 200 leaders and women today on the platform who are eager to listen to both of you. But on a lighter note, I wanted to share something with both of you. So today morning, as I was getting into this session with two of my favorite leaders, I called up my mother and I said, Mummy, aap aaj aa rahe ho na sunne? So, and as she's listening to you, she's very much on the show. Okay. And she said, Ha, bilkul. Sunita, she knows well because, we have a long standing friendship. And as far as Kiran is concerned, my mother is a doctor and she said, जब मैं ना बहुत टफ होती थी ना तो लोग बोलते थे आप किरण बेदी जैसा बिहेव कर रहे हो एंड मैं किरण बेदी नहीं बन पाई but at least being called out as somebody close to who I admire is good enough for me. And today, hearing you live, I'm sure she's, absolutely delighted about that. So I just thought I will kick off the session with a light conversation with my mother. And in some way, if nothing else, she'll be proud of the fact that we have you on the stage today. So welcome on board, both of you.
Thank you.
Great. So, kicking off the session, I think, to both of you, this is Sunita's, book launch, and she's written a memoir about, what's happened in her life. And Kiran, you've been an author of several books which address many issues. But I want to actually kick off asking about a little about the rainbows and clouds in your life as leaders. And maybe, Sunita, we'll kick off with you, given that's the title of your book. I would be delighted if you can show the book to everybody, given it's going to be soon hitting the markets as well. And maybe you can give us one rainbow that you want to talk about in your life and one cloud that you overcome. And then I'll come to you, Kiran. So over to you, Sunita.
When I was thinking of the title for this book, I was talking to my children, and they said, "What is it in your life that was most important?" I said, "Lot of color, lot of problems, lot of solutions, lot of color." So they suggested flowers and all. Then I said, "No rainbows." And then as I talked of clouds, I was talking of cloud bursts or clouds, because rainbows come only when there are clouds. Without clouds, there can be no rainbow. So clouds were all the confusions, all the problems, all the issues in our life. And rainbows was the success, was the achievement, whatever, to whatever extent, in whatever form. So I look as the clouds being, clouds are not necessarily negative. They all lead to the positive. They lead to the rainbows. So I look at the clouds as too many demands on your time, too eager to do too many things. You want to achieve everything. You don't want to drop anything. You don't want to select that this is important. If 10 people have come to you for help, you don't want to say, okay, I'll help five. I'll not help the other five. So demand on your time, whether by the family or by your job, are the clouds. And the solutions you find are the rainbows. This is how I look at it.
Great. Wonderful. Beautifully expressed. And I look forward to reading a little more about the rainbows and clouds. I've known about a few, but I love to deep dive into them as soon as I can get my hands on the book. So, Kiran, coming to you, a rainbow in your life and a cloud in your life that you were able to overcome.
First, about Sunita's book. I think she's got the most appropriate title because when you read her book, at every stage of her career, I've seen clouds and I've seen rainbows. And she's the way she's creating a rainbow. She's shooing away actually the clouds. I've seen her, this memoir is such a graphic personal diary. I don't know what a remarkable memory she has, that she's able to even recall the dialogues of many years ago between her and her husband, she and her children, she and her seniors, she and her juniors. It's very graphic. And I've noticed how Sunita has come across cloud after a cloud after a cloud, and she's continued to chase it away, chase it away. She's been constantly chasing away in her career. In fact, I think she chased away just too many clouds because she was trying to do everything. She was trying to do everything. She was managing her family. She was managing the constant transfers and the way she was dealing with her colleagues, the way she began her career where nobody knew her and nobody accepted her as a woman. In fact, people were not accepting her as a woman. They won't even give her a seat. They were, why would they accept her as when she started her career? So I would think that Sunita's book actually tells you of a historical period of her life, and historical period not of her life, probably the life of every woman who started the service all these years ago. And she started in 72. She's a 1972 IS batch. So what was this way the challenges women officers got in 1972 is actually the story of probably many other women. Similarly was mine. So this is where she's got a most appropriate title when reading a book, all full of clouds and rainbows all the time, and she's bringing rainbows with the help of her husband all the time. Husband was her absolute strength behind this backbone. Every time I know how Sudipto came in at every stage. In fact, the very fact that he gave up his job was basically to be with Sunita most of the time. So I would say that she's got a great title, Rainbows, most appropriate. As far as I'm concerned, I saw clouds as a girl. What happens in a woman's life if she's not empowered, and if she is not financially independent, and that she's not psychologically strong, and that she's not physically fit? I saw that. I saw it in the neighborhood. I saw it in society as a whole, and I was rebel against this. I decided I'll not be one of these. I'll not be part of the herd. I shall not be part of this herd, which has to give dowry. Dowry was a big cloud in the lives of women. Display of dowry was a very big. Then getting married and everything at the cost of your family's property or family was not acceptable to me. Third, a wife asking for running the home was not acceptable to me. So I was refusing to be part of the herd because I saw it in extended family. My parents were. They had part of a large joint family. And I had decided in my life that this is what I will see rejected and I will prove it the other way. So that is when I sat for and I had administration in my mind. I was studying, I was academically very strong, sports very strong. So I was actually building all my strengths to beat the hell out of this, right? And I think that's what I achieved, driving away, showing away. That was pre Indian Police Service. Post IPS, I knew how to deal with these clouds. I was quite equipped to deal with these clouds and then show them the way. So that way, I went into the Indian Police Service prepared. What Suneeta suffered was she was not in uniform the way I was. I was in a hierarchy where I could command and control. She was in civil services where the junior civil people, they are not the kind of discipline. You see, in our case, it's a hierarchy. How dare a head constable or a constable or a sub inspector not stand up and salute me, whether he likes me or not as a woman? But that could not be with Sunita. She was in the civilian service. Civilians are not trained. They don't parade. They don't have a hierarchy, that kind. So I have seen clouds before, and the fact that I wore my uniform was to deal with these clouds and ensure that they rain at the right time for the right reason. And they dare not rain when there's no reason to. So I dealt with it. And how I knew how to shoot them away.
I like the fact that they dare not rain when there is not a reason. So thank you for sharing that. So, Sunita, coming back to you, I think Kiran has alluded to the fact that she had the support of a formal hierarchy and you did not. And, from the little preview I've had of your book, you've shared some very personal and tough situations. Would you like to share just maybe one of them that was tough, but it kind of stood out for you and there were lessons learned which propelled you forward?
You want to share with me to share with you a tough situation
Yeah,
as a woman.
yeah.
Okay, so what Kiran has alluded to, I've mentioned in my book that the SHO, that is the senior most police officer in the station, when he would pass me, he would remove his cap so that he doesn't have to salute me. He would not
Mm,
look at me. He would look
yeah.
away and pass. My deputy commissioner, that's my immediate boss as SDM, when I first went to meet him, I've written about it in this book. He called me on the dais where he was doing court cases. Everybody was sitting, and I was a little wet. I had gone by bus. There were no vehicles provided at that time, and I had walked from the bus stand in a rainy season with an umbrella flying away. In Dharamsala, it was windy, and I was a little wet in a nylon sari. I was self-conscious. Went on the dais. He said, "Yes, what do you want?" So I said, "Sir, I've joined as your SDM. I have an appointment with you. I came to call on you." He said, "I know that." I said, "My name is Suneeta Dhingra. I was before married." He said, "I know that. What do you want?" I said, "I've come for instructions." He said, "Kya kaam karogi?" I said, "I'm posted in Noorpur." He said, "You girls can only produce children well. I mean, I don't know what you're going to do with your files." He mumbled this softly, but it was enough to get me very upset. I said, "Do you have any instructions to give?" He said, "Go and take them from my GA." So I went to the GA. I've talked of other details about my relationship with the DC. He was very nice to me later. I mean, we became very good friends, but this is how it began. So when he and the SP came to my station during elections. Uh, there was a Panchayat Samiti election. I mean, they didn't inform me and come. They came there because they did not trust that I would be able to conduct it. So when he came to my office, I got up and went to my retiring room. I said, okay, take over. He stood there for some time. Then he came in. He said, you don't like my coming here. He said, I was told, yahan khoon ho jayega. I said, I would have called you if I wanted to. But it's your district. You do what you want. So in a few minutes, he and the SP left because they realized that I didn't like their coming here. SP, meanwhile, he said, do you have any problems? I said, your SHO doesn't recognize me. So the rainbow that came out there was that the SP had worked with my father in the army. He was a retired army officer. He was adjutant to my father when my father was colonel in the Chishul battle, Razangla battle. And he said, my God, you're not Colonel Bhimral's daughter. And he started saluting me himself. So to SHO बेचारा उसने भी salute करना शुरू कर दिया. You know? So that was the rainbow. For once, being a woman acted in my favor. Uh, when I, as an SDM, this DC came back to my house with a politician, with the chairman of the Congress committee. At night, after 8 o'clock, I'm doing files outside in the lawn, and they come and sit there. I get them 2 chairs. So they are telling me, transfer this person here, transfer this person there. तुम्हारी इज्जत तुम्हारे हाथ में है, otherwise I will do it. He has come with a politician, and he is talking like this. And then he says to the politician, sir, मैं तो इसकी CR 1 साल बाद खराब कर सकता हूँ, आपने करानी है तो इसकी अभी बदली करा दो. So I got up, I said कि सर मुझे तो ये नौकरी नहीं करनी. आप लोग कैसे हो, आप मेरी सर्विस पे हो, what are you talking? And I went inside. Again, I think a rainbow came. Very few rainbows come like this, but a rainbow came to my luck. The politician, Mr. Sat Mahajan, when I went into, I mean, I was almost in tears, but I went in to order tea. And when I came out, he was standing at the door. And he said, Madam, आज से मैं कभी कोई request नहीं करूँगा. You run the place as you want. I said, what happened? He said, I remembered my daughter who's got married and gone to Africa. And she's the only person who used to fight with me like this. So being a woman acted in my favor for a change. But these are the kind of challenges you face. And being a woman is often very difficult, especially when it comes to having children, maternity related causes. And I've talked a lot of this in my book, the challenges that come then. I mean, when I was expecting my second child, I had taken some medications for which I thought I would need an abortion. The doctor was advising an abortion. So I asked for leave of 1 week from my chief secretary. He was very angry. He said, why did you conceive at this time? I said, it was not planned. He said, why do you have unplanned pregnancies? I said, this is only an exception. It's happened once. And I'm going to get it aborted, not because I can't take leave, but because I need to. Things are different. I didn't get aborted, and we have a wonderful son as a result. I didn't go through that abortion. But the way my bosses, handled all this was very sad. So on the personal front, there's a lot of attack of that kind, which is not at all welcome. Because you have 1 or 2 children, and this happens normally. You don't, people like us never take extra leave. So that's what happened.
Okay.
But so you face a lot of challenges as a result of being a woman, which challenges men don't have to face. But you get past it very soon. It's 2 or 3 months and you're past it. And then the children grow up. You look after the family as the men look after them. And go ahead.
Yep. No, that's a lot of candor. And, as I was listening to you, Sunita, I was just thinking you both are, senior leaders of the 70s. Hum to phir bhi 90s is when I started working. And threads of this seem to be there. Probably not as extreme as it was in the 70s. I'm a banker by background, and there were times I would be in investment banking, which is a very male dominated arena. So it's become a little more subtle, but there is some semblance of these threads carrying on. And for a lot of people out here, when they're listening to you, if for power women like you've had to go through it and come out of it, and I think you've paved the path of the future generation, which has made it easier. So I'm eternally grateful for you standing in there in spite of the kind of pressures you've gone through. So coming to you, Kiran, I mean, you yourself are an author of many books, but think for now, I want to delve into one of those experiences of yours where, you've had to kind of really push the edge. And we read a lot in media about, some of the things that you've done and which have inspired everybody. But something which is very close to your heart and you think that really challenged you on your resilience and tenacity.
Anu, there was not a single posting which didn't challenge me when it came to resource management. There was deficiency in everything we did. You see, while Sunita faced uncivil behavior from civil officers, she actually faced undignified, uncivil behavior, which was not the kind I had. There was a big difference. That's a benefit of being in policing, where they could not afford those, they could not dare to do it. But in her case, they got away because probably she was just by herself. How dare anybody ask her, why have you done this? How dare anybody come to you late in the night and say, do this? How dare? This could happen only in civil. So nobody dared do this with my services where a junior could come or a senior could come. And secondly, the big benefit I had over Sunita was I was with family. She was by herself.
Mm.
She was always looking out for could father come in or mother could come in or husband could come in. She had nobody. I was with my family. I had my parents, mother and father. So for me, my home was a fort where mother was staying, father was staying, and I was coming home. Big relief, right? So I think that's a big support system, which every working woman needs when it comes to that. Actually, her husband was also working elsewhere and could not be with him, and they were always looking for somehow, can we meet? Can we connect? And she was always changing houses. I didn't. So I think what Sunita has candidly explained in her book is truly what civil services woman could be facing and maybe still facing in different ways when she's by herself. As far as I'm concerned, when it came to deficiency in the workplaces where I did, all deficient. Expectations of the people was sky high. And the expectation from me as a woman in uniform for the first time was sky high. There'll be 100% honesty, and 100% accessibility, 100% justice, right? Accessibility, 100%. It's not that I was living up to their expectations. That's what I believed in also. But where are my resources? Where are my tools? My tools were very rusted.
Mm.
My tools were rusted, untrained, unskilled, deficient in numbers to meet the challenges of the crime of that situation. If you're having organized crime, or you're having rape cases, you're having drug issues, you're having night crime of ex-criminal tribes, where's the manpower? And the district is so large, right? How do I control the crime? Because my challenge was crime control. Her challenge was civil administration. Now, crime control I can't do without manpower. I can't do without mobility. I can't do without wireless sets, right? Where do I generate? But the expectation was, and my challenge was also, how do I control crime? How do I give safety to the people I've been entrusted with? I invoked my communication skills. I invoked my collaborative skills, which I had as a team player, as a tennis player, and probably had learned these skills. I generate, and I think my transparency helped me, where I could let people know this is what I have, know what I have, this is what our challenge is. Come on, take responsibility. So I generated at every deficiency, every crime control situation, whether it was traffic police, whether it was a district crime, whether it was amazing public mobilization, which many of my colleagues could not. I had an edge as a woman to collaborate, edge as a woman to seek, edge as a woman to appeal, and also edge as a woman who was a communicator. And I succeeded one after the other, all because of mobilization, by letting the people know where we stand. I think that's where I used my strength as a woman in uniform to mobilize and succeed. Whereas the men colleagues, many mobilized, neither they collaborated nor did they mobilize. and nor were they accessible. So I think that's where I stole. I was becoming a rainbow in security keeping for the people. And when they start to say it's good that we have a woman, it's good because ऐसे आदमियों ने तो, like for instance, if you go back to my Inspector General prisons time, what happened? First time I think anywhere in the world, a woman headed a male prison of 10,000 men dimensions. First time. What was my strength? My strength was being a woman. Because as a woman, I had a warm heart. I had compassion, I had empathy, and I could mobilize, and I could even mobilize prisoners inside to become responsible citizens inside, though they were prisoners, but citizens inside. So I think what in my life, deficiencies were overcome by my using my strengths as a woman.
Perfect. No, very insightful. And as we continue with the conversation, I'll request the audience to leave the comments or questions on the chat. I will be picking up questions. There are a couple of questions pouring in for both of you. So I will have to sift them out. And I'm going to pick up one question, which is actually for both of you. And maybe Sunita, I'll come to you first and then go to Kiran. Is ki, in civil services or in IPS or in IAS, generally there's a lot of public dealing with politician and gundas and reading the question. So as a woman, it's not safe, or that is the perception, it's not safe. चाहे आप पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में डीएम हैं या आप आईपीएस में डील कर रहे हैं, you may have the strength as a woman, but the outside world, when a criminal or a drug dealer or a politician is dealing with you, how do you overcome that? Because there is a lot of pushback. So somebody who's an aspirant of civil services is asking that question. So Sunita, maybe I'll come to you and then go to Kiran.
So I'll give you an example. When my first posting, which was the most difficult posting, this is SDM, Subdivisional Magistrate, Nurpur, where I talked about meeting this politician, Sat Mahajan. So work-wise, the first thing I was given, there were 700 cases of sealing on land holdings. Sealing on land holdings means they passed an act that you cannot own more than 30 acres of land. So all those who own more than 30 acres of land, you have to take it from them and distribute it to the landless. Now, people, I am sure all of you will understand, people are very attached to their land and they will go to any length to prevent that, whether take hold of politicians, take hold of gundas, try to, catch you somewhere, try to slip you somewhere, send men to your house or boys to your house, pick up your dog. They've done all these things in spite of having security outside. But I mean, that was an order of the government. The first order I got that you have to do these cases. And they said within 1 month, 1 month mein to nahi ho sakte the. So these people who come with land, sealing on land holdings, who have a lot of land, also have some power, and some politicians and some, they can take access to judges, approach them, take cases to court, do court cases and get stays. In which case you can't do any case. Most of them will be stopped by somebody or the other. Now, if you want to get through majority of your cases or almost all your cases, I started thinking, I mean, you have to innovate then. What can I do? So I started going to the field and doing the cases. The lawyers can come to the field if they want. They got very annoyed because I would decide the case in 1 or 2 hearings. And here they would have many hearings and take money for the hearings. So I took the lawyers into confidence, which is very difficult. I mean, there were all kinds of people there. And I said that, I'm going to do the cases on the site, and in the field, it's very easy to decide because the witnesses are there. They will say, iska hai, iska hai, iska nahi hai, and all that. So I started doing cases there. However, as you go along, people realize that you are well-intentioned. So there was a stage when they all ganged up. They tried to burn my Jeep. The driver ran away. I sat on top of the Jeep. They started calling me Jhansi Ki Rani after that because I wouldn't budge from the Jeep. I said, okay, burn me. There were रेडी वाले थे जिनके prices हम control कर रहे थे, the school children who we had stopped from cheating. All the elements got together. The landowners whose land we were snatching, they were the leaders. They all got together, did jalous, tried to at times attack my house at night and all. One day picked up my dog and took away, which I got next morning. These things happen, but they go in your stride. And when you succeed in the end, and when, that very politician comes and says, in my farewell speech, he said that I want to make one admission. Only one person here can win election from me this time, and that would be the SDM here, Sunita Dingra, because she has gone to the remotest places, done so much of work. He said I couldn't appreciate her because I had no idea of what she would do. But he said now that I have visited the field, the difficult areas, remote areas, for my own election campaign, I realize how much she's done. So what succeeds is in the end is your hard work, your intentions, and whatever strategy you may utilize. As Kiran said, she utilized her mobilization and her strength of being a woman itself. It in the end works in your favor. So the clouds become rainbows.
So just, dwelling on clouds and rainbows. Sunita, we can't see you, so you'll have to move a little back. Yeah. So there are lots of comments pouring in on the chat, and I'm not being able to keep up with it, but some really lovely comments, which I must share. Not a question from Deepthi, but just a message for both these amazing ladies. You make us proud and inspire us every day, and especially to Sunita, lots of love. Then there are questions, and I'm probably going to tweak the question for Kiran. Is in the hub of what is going on in the police services, how did you deal with politics? And is there anything, how did you deal, were you ever worried about yourself and your family? Because people hear a lot in the media how police officers may be threatened. So it's a question coming from somebody buddy who's a woman and wanting to be an IPS officer.
Remember, Anu, one of your question was, what are the clouds and rainbows I saw? And I
Yes.
said, I saw injustice as
Yes.
a teenager.
Yes.
I saw injustice. Once I wore my uniform, justice was my priority. Fairness was my priority. Truth was my priority. Honesty was my priority. These were choiceless choices. There's no compromise on these, because these are what brought me to the service. This is what made me wear my uniform to deliver this. So it didn't matter to me who's a politician and who's a VIP and who's not. For me, common man was a focus. So I was actually sending the message of fearlessness from day one of my service. And the message to the rank and file was कि सबके साथ न्याय करना, किसी के साथ अन्याय नहीं करना. ट्रैफिक पुलिस में जब मैं गई तो मुझे they would tell me, ma'am, they would say, अच्छा 100 cases a day. I said 0 case a day. I went to traffic police, I was only 30, early 30, and I said 0 case a day, but nobody spared. 0 case. But whoever you've done, they say, ma'am, they tear it off. They tear off the paper challan and they say, dekh lo, jahan le jana le jao. I said, no way. You will challan only that person who's really misbehaved and done a blatant traffic violation. But if he tears it, let me know. I'll take care of it. I will not allow the staring. No, ma'am, they are all VIP sons. I said, I don't care who they are. You will be transferred, so will I be transferred. So be it. Be ready for transfer, but we will not spare. Let the message go. So I told them, do not come back to me as helplessness. Help yourselves, and I'm backing you. See, this is the message I sent as one policy. After that, no, many media people actually were used to send these challans to the office, say, could you cancel them? I told them not one will be cancelled, whoever you may be. So when I declared this as an open policy of unsparingness, I made my life easy. But I also committed myself and I burnt my bridges. I burnt my bridges. There are no bridges for me, right? So once I burnt my bridges and saying no challan to be cancelled, but I also told officers, you will challan because I'm not going to cancel. So don't make false challans. And I don't want 100. You may come back with 0. I'm not counting how many challans you did. Do you know what happened? Prime Minister's car was stowed away. Mrs. Gandhi's car was stowed away. And she got a ticket, her car got a ticket, her driver got a ticket. He tried to be smart, but my sub-inspector Nirmal Singh said, policy of the traffic police is, you've done a mistake, we warned you, you didn't listen, here's your ticket, pay your fine. Otherwise, I'm towing away. And he put the crane and he towed away the car. The Prime Minister's car, it doesn't matter. I was informed that your sub-inspector Nirmal Singh has done that. I said, he's done as per the policy. I'm not coming in the way. I stand by him. He's done the right thing. See, there was no looking back. So I have dealt with politicians like this, saying, you want to transfer me? You transfer. That's your power. My power is to do what is right. This got repeatedly. This got repeated even in Goa. This got repeated its chief minister's misbehavior, right? So every when I got it repeated, but it was my after all, you are needing me when you need me. They called me to Goa to run the Commonwealth heads of government meet when they had nothing, no manpower to run, and they had all kinds of Commonwealth heads coming, Margaret Thatcher's, etc., coming, everybody. And you wanted me to run the traffic for you without any resources. How can I do it? So I ran the Goa by mobilizing all NCC cadets of Goa. They became traffic because you have no traffic. And you want me to run the traffic. And you want me to fail? I'll not fail. I mobilized every college NCC cadet, put them on 40 kilometers of route. 40 kilometers. And there was one bridge which was not inaugurated, waiting for Prime Minister Indira Gandhi to come to inaugurate. And it was waiting for weeks, months together while people were stuck up on a jetty. On a jetty, this bridge is waiting for Mrs. Gandhi to come. One day, I opened the bridge. I inaugurated the bridge for a common man. I said, I cannot wait for anybody. This bridge has to be opened. I opened it. I was called one by the chief minister. He's apologized. I said, apology for what? Apology, sir, for what? I'll transfer you. I said, go and transfer me. I'm ready. You go. See, I was daring. They didn't transfer me. They needed me as long as I knew they need. But the point is not question needing. I was answering my own call of conscience. What am I here for? I'm not your servant. I'm a subjugate to law, not you. You are also subordinate to law. I'm only following the law. So I think that's how the fearless message, that's why my book is called Fearless Governance, What Happened in Pondicherry. This is the way I live, by the edge of the sword. Every day, edge of the sword. So my life was edge of the sword, but believe me, I loved it. I lived my life on my terms.
That's beautifully said. In fact, before I go back to Suneeta, just a follow-up question to you. Does that come at a price? And if so, what should we be ready for? Kiran, that's for you. I'm saying being
Me?
so fearless, yes, and
Oh,
all the things that you did about living on the edge. What should be a price that one should be willing to live with? I mean, this is something will happen and it's okay. This is the consequence of me being fearless. What is the consequence?
to my choice, there's no price in my life. See, every life is different. To me, it was very rewarding because I lived up for the purpose I came in. I paid no price. I only got rewarded. The price was discomfort. What a discomfort! You are wearing a uniform, bound to be discomfort. Forget it. But I was willing to take it because when I'm taking on a system and bending it differently, and not being part of the herd, as I said, changing the course, there has to be a cost. But cost what? There's a gain. And the gain is trust. You're earning the trust of the people. You rising yourself in your heart. You're gaining more confidence. You have a self dignity. You have a self pride. So I have not allowed a single decision to be compromised, to adjust. But I remained on the roll, no doubt. I had very few friends within the department. I had very few friends in, but my family was my rock. I didn't care whether there were many male friends of mine inviting me for dinners, etc. Because my nature, I had no time for that. I had no time for that. I just had time to work and go back home to be with my daughter and my family. So I think I stuck to that and I lived my life the way. So I have not paid a price, if you ask me. Yes, the price I paid wasn't made the police commissioner of Delhi. You see, I paid the ultimate price, if you call it the price. Now that's a price. I was not made the police commissioner of Delhi when I had 2.5 years of seniority over the person who was appointed, because that's where it was in their hands. It was in male hands of a male home secretary who was a very male chauvinist, a male home minister who wanted me to call on and say to somebody here to please appoint me. I said, no, I'm sorry, that's your problem, not mine. So you're setting me free. That's it. So I set myself free and I did something else. But I was not, otherwise, Delhi would have had the first woman police commissioner also. And we would have turned the policing around, brought in systems which I knew I was very confident of. But Delhi was a loser, not me.
That's beautifully said, and I agree with you completely. Thank you, Kiran. So, Sunita, coming to you, and in the background, I can see the photo of Sudipto, who, as you know, is one of my favorite people. And I know the kind of partnership you both shared. So, dwelling a little bit on the book and going back to some of your experiences, I think I just want to take a pause and talk about dual careers. When both of you had careers, and Kiran mentioned how Sudipto kind of moved around to make sure you continue. Tell us a little bit about how you both found that common ground and the role he played in it.
Thank you, Anu. Sudipto played a very major role. He was part of the support system for the children also. My parents also were a big support system, parents and in-laws, but we didn't live with them. Unlike Kiran, her parents lived with her. My parents didn't live with us, but at one telephone call, they would come. If I needed them, they would come and then spend a few days or few months with us when we needed them. When we got married, Sudipto was posted. He got a prize posting in NDA. He was an instructor in NDA. He has not yet joined. But my father said that we must spend the first year of our lives together, live together. My chief secretary refused to give me leave. I couldn't get 1 year's leave. And I said, well, should I leave service then? I was quite willing to leave service also at one level. I suppose if I had come down to doing it, I may not have done it. But I said, do you want me to leave service then? I mean, I was so happy with him. I didn't think anything else mattered. And he said, absolutely not. Not now. After 1 year, if you want to leave, I'll let you leave. But first year, you must spend together. And my father said the same. I don't think I was serious about leaving service, but I was just bringing home to them the price we would have to pay, because I didn't want him to leave his price posting in NDA. But he didn't blink. He said, no, I will get posted to Shimla. I said, how will you get posted to Shimla? So my father went to meet General Raina. He was the chief of army staff, and my father had worked with General Raina very closely. And first he said, yes, yes, yes. But then when he looked at he called for his record. My husband had a brilliant record. He was, gold medalist, sword of honor, everything. He had a lot of credits to him. He was a gold medalist in the NDA entrance exam also, and later in various courses that he did, Bio's course, he was topper. So he looked at all that and he said, this chap will be chief of army staff one day. He will be general one day. So Daddy said today he wants to leave. He doesn't want to think of tomorrow what he will be. But he said, sorry, I can't do it, sir. My chief secretary rang him up. And chief secretary was a Mizo from Mizoram. And he said, this girl has only one husband. You have so many captains. Why don't you relieve him? So he said, sorry. So Sudipto said, I'll take a posting to Shimla. And he got a very stupid posting, TA, Territorial Army. That was the only posting vacant, from instructor in NDA to TA. But he was very sweet. He came, he would walk to office, he would come back at 1 o'clock, walk back. He had half days. He would go home, pick up my lunch, bring it to my office. We would eat together. He would take the lunchbox home, come back and pick me up, and then we'd go home late at night. He carried on doing this. And then one day then he left the army. And in his leaving the army, Kiran had a major role to play. I have written about it in my book, and I suppose you can read that. But she had a major role to play. She guided us, helped us. I mean, we met her accidentally. She's been a friend since college, I met her once when I was in college. And though we haven't met so often, but she's been a wonderful friend. Whenever I have needed her, she's been there. So she helped in his leaving the army, which was a major thing. His resignation has been rejected 3 times. And she said, we'll get it through. He said, I want to leave the army today. I don't know about tomorrow. Because he said, I started seeing some certain negative things, but primarily he was an intellectual, and infantry doesn't provide space for intellectuals. So he left the army and he took up the first job he could get, which was in Methodex. He started selling calculators and cabinets. There were no computers out then. And finally, he got posted to Chandigarh, and I took a posting in PGI Chandigarh after I had my second child. because I thought let's stay together for some time. So in PGI Chandigarh, my uncle was visiting and he said, "You're well settled here." And he said, "I'm well stuck." So always he was so nice, but he'd had a few drinks. So I didn't ask him then. I asked him next morning, "Why are you stuck?" So he said, "I didn't leave the army to sell calculators." So I said, "What did you leave it for?" He said, "I haven't even tried because I can't, you are working." So, I mean, the truth came out then. He said, "You are working. I can't leave you." I said, "You get whatever job you can. I will go with you. I mean, you also have a right to choose." So he applied and he got a job with HCL in Malaysia because India was not ready for computers then. And that was for computers. He said, "This is the future. I must go and work in Far East Computers," it was called, in Far East Computers. They were only giving him an internship, but he said, "I must go." So I said, "Sure." I took 2 years leave and went. I took the children also, and the children studied there for 2 years. And that's how we got into computers, came back into Tata's. So we both helped each other. And when he needed, I supported him. But I must say, most of the support was his in everything, whether it was the family, whether it was my work. I could talk to him about everything and seek his support and guidance. Kya kare? I mean, it helps if you can talk to a person who is looking, you are sure is looking at your welfare. That's how. But we worked a lot separately. We lived a lot away from each other. And in my last posting in United Nations, I left IAS after 25 years and joined United Nations, International Civil Service. And in my last posting in the Philippines, where I headed UNFPA, he came and joined me and worked there for 3 years. And that was wonderful. From there, we retired.
Thank you, Sunita, for sharing that. And I know he's special for all of us and will always remain. So I have lots of comments pouring in. I don't think I have the time to read them out, but I just wanted to say thank you to the audience. Great takeaways from the session. Learned a lot from Kiran ma'am and Sunita ma'am. Uh, Lots of courageous theory to both inspire us. Dr. Kiran ma'am very rightly said it's loss of Delhi. Congratulations, Sunita, on the book. So there's lots of comments pouring in. So I'm just going to pick up a couple of questions, then I'm going to move to a small rapid fire. And then I'm going to invite a lucky winner who will be able to ask you one question. So, some of from the questions which are listed here, one question is, what inspires both of you? You inspire many, but where do you derive your inspiration? So maybe Kiran, I'll come to you and then go to Sunita after that.
Anu, I take inspiration from all possible positive directions. It can come from a book, it can come from a nice article, it can come from a good film, it can come from a person, it can come from a personal thought. So I draw inspiration from all directions which can come. But somehow the other, every day I get an inspiration by reading, by writing, by exercising or swimming, something which inspires me, gives me the high. So I look for a high of the day. I actually sometimes search it, sometimes I just get it. So I don't think I limit myself to one source. It's like food, nutrition. Food is not just made of one grocery one. It is all, it's a salad. It's a salad, which is green salad, which has all these right kind of nutrients. So I think I look for life, all sources of nutrients. It can be a friend, meeting a great friend, meeting Sunita, her book. These are all inspirational moments. So I don't limit myself to one, but I somehow the other, God has been very kind. Just going for a nice walk is very inspirational. Just quiet walk, a good sleep. Really inspires me that to do something better the following. So I'm not limited to one. So sources of inspiration are all possible directions.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Kiran. Sunita,
I
same
think
question.
I tend to agree with Kiran that many things inspire us. But the moment you asked the question, what came to my mind is helping others. I feel very good when I help others. If I can help someone, I feel very good. Whether it's a poor person, a rich person, a friend, my children, anybody. So that helps. That inspires me a lot.
I'm going to do a quick rapid fire. I mean, for my, I mean, any word which comes to your mind when I say I'm going to put 5 words to Sunita and 5 words to Kiran. It's for people to take away some thoughts about what these words mean to you, given the inspirational comments and lots of gratitude I'm seeing on the comments here. So, Sunita, we'll start with you. And, the first word I'm going to put to you is rainbow.
Satisfaction, happiness, joy,
Okay. Cloud.
problems, issues,
Okay. Courage.
success,
Tenacity.
strength, holding on,
Okay. And family.
love.
Thank
Wonderful.
you. Thank you very much, Sunita. Moving on to you, Kiran. Work.
Worship
Nice. Leadership.
every day.
Respect.
Live it, give it, and live it.
Purpose.
Just find it every time. Go by the purpose. Seek it, you get it, and stick to it.
And for you, rainbow and clouds together.
Rainbow is for you to see, but clouds are temporary. Remember,
Yeah.
don't stick to the clouds. They're temporary, they're just fools. They're hiding the sky because the sky is there behind them. So they are fleeting.
Perfect. Thank you so much, ladies. I'm going to now invite the lucky winner who will be asked to come on stage with you and ask one question. So, Shiv, over to you if you can get the person. Hi there. Hi, Ashma.
Good evening, everyone. I'm
Congratulations for being the winner of the lucky draw. So, Ashma, please introduce yourself, and as you know, you'll be allowed to ask one question of Kiran ma'am and Sunita ma'am.
yes, I am Ashima Kakkar from Rupnagar, Punjab, and I have completed my graduation this year in microbial and food technology from Punjab University, Chandigarh, and currently I am pursuing masters in forensic science and criminology from same.
Great. Thank you, Ashma. And your question, please.
I want to ask that what factors does impact a woman's ability to lead others?
Okay. So, Sunita, you want to go first, and then Kiran, if that's okay.
What did you ask? What factors? Can you
Yes,
say
ma'am.
again? What
What
factors?
factors does impact a woman's ability to lead others?
What factors effect
What
Impact.
factors affect, yes, to for women to lead others? What is important for them?
Yes.
a woman's self-confidence, faith in herself, support from others. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Sunita.
Thank you,
Kiran?
ma'am.
I think carrying forward and explaining what Sunita has left is a daily preparation. It's a regular preparation. It's not one at a time. It's like daily confidence building. What Sunita just said. It's by doing. It's regular doing, constantly doing. Support systems can come and go. But daily confidence building is by how do you polish up your mind, how do you stay fit, how do you keep charged, how do you recharge, the methodologies. So it's like daily confidence. Negativity can come, but your strength to drive it away and replace it by positivity is the real challenge. Every day, drive out the negativity or any lack of confidence and rebuild it by doing. So look for areas like Sunita said, giving. Find into some areas of giving. Find something to read. Go exercise. Do something challenging, right? And express it. So I think it's like a daily homework. It's not once in a time. It's a daily leadership.
Great.
Thank you,
Ashma,
ma'am.
I hope you got your answer, and thank you again for the question, and congratulations for being the winner today. So, as I sift through the comments and other thoughts, which are there's zillions of them on the chat, it's like the Matrix movie, they're just falling through it. But, as I bring this session to a close, as I said, it's been my pleasure and my privilege. But, as I was hearing both of you, and you being champions of rainbows and clouds, in your life. And Sunita, please pick up the book. I'm in Europe, so I don't have the book, but I'm can't wait to lay my hands on it. And I hope Shivranjani, you've taken a shot of it because we're going to push this out. But I want to end on two quotes which are epitome of what both of you talked about today. You've been adventurers, in my view. You've led the path. You've in motivated not just women but a lot of men, and I think people in general. And what comes to my mind is one sher which I heard somewhere, which is manzil mil jayegi bhatak kar hi sahi, gumrah to wo hain jo ghar se nikle hi nahi. And both
Yes,
of you have taken the risk in your life, and I also see that both of you are reinventing yourself. I think, Kiran, many people don't know you're a great tennis player, and you do many other things which you've been keeping on. Sunita, I've seen various shades of you in somewhere. So I just want to end this session, where I would say, for both of you, what I would say in terms of evolution or revolution in your life would be, अभी तो असली मंजिल पाना बाकी है, अभी तो इरादों का इम्तिहान बाकी है, अभी तो तौली है मिट्टी जमी पर, अभी तो तौलना सारा आसमान बाकी है. So we wish you continue to soar the skies, and you continue to find the rainbows and fritter away the clouds so the sunshine is, positively benefiting all of us. So thank you, Sunita, and thank you, Kiran. What a pleasure it has been. I'm truly blessed to see two of my best role models in this session, and I hope everybody here gets a copy of the book and enjoys the rainbows and flitter away the crowds. Thank you again for being here. Pleasure has been entirely ours.
Thank you, Anuranjita. You were wonderful. Thank you.
Thank
Anu, you
you.
were brilliant. You were a
Thank
wonderful
you.
anchor.
Thank you,
Wonderful.
Kiran. Pleasure's
Thank you.
mine.
You were
Thank
very good.
you. And thank you to the audience for joining in. Okay.